never ever felt comfortable in any of them. I have to say that our son is he is on the autism spectrum, which kind of makes it difficult for him to be in large groups of kids, much noise and all that. He kind of pulls away and stays by himself. He loves people and he loves kids, but he just doesn't necessarily connect with them the way that other children do. So it makes it a little bit difficult. So we found out that the school environment, which is obviously a lot stricter than kindergarten and nursery ever was, he just wouldn't thrive. So we've been homeschooling and unschooling and world schooling. We call it a little bit different things depending on where we are and if we're traveling or, you know. But he has blossomed because of that. He might never be a professor, but I don't necessarily think that people necessarily need to be professors to succeed at life. You know, it's more of a life learning kind of thing. And
but you hear that all the time, don't you, from the people that have what you would call successful careers, I suppose, is that they might be successful in the career and they might be successful in the terms of money that they have, things they own. But at the end of the life, how many people have said, you know, it all meant nothing, really. You haven't got your health. Exactly. And you haven't had the happiness, and you've spent your time, you've missed out on the joy of life because you're too busy striving for that end goal. There's so many people who've said, actually, this isn't what life's about, is it?
No, it's not. And I think that's the reason why. I mean, over the years, I was, in my teenage years, I was a very, you know, I was the good girl, always kind of never really pushing the boundaries, and I think I somehow became slightly addicted to being praised and acknowledged, you know, and I couldn't do that by being who I really was basically you know, a rebel. I wanted to change things. I wanted to say what I meant and all that, but and I did when I was really young, but somehow, somewhere along the line, along the way there, I taught myself, I wasn't really trained into it, but I taught myself to conform and to be the good girl and to be agreeable, you know, and follow the rules and, you know, all that society expects you to do. But at the same time, I must have dimmed my own light quite a bit. And now I'm in my mid-40s now. Now I'm starting to not care about what other people think anymore, and to basically, I'm not here for other people to be pleased with me. I'm here for me to be happy and you know, thrive. Yeah. And I can't do that pretending, trying to be somebody else, trying to live up to somebody else's standards. I just can't. And it's taken me half a lifetime to kind of really come to terms with that, even though I might have known years ago, decades ago, that, you know, I would like to release that need to please. But it's easier said than done. You want to be yourself, but you're so kind of locked into the system that demands that you actually do do what you're expected to do and follow the rules, and but I'm done with it now. I really am, and it's very liberating.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will feel, yeah, that's me too, because I think that's what's happening is you get to a certain point, and they usually say it's around 35, 36, don't they, where it's like, this is where you start to go, hang on, this can't be all that there is. Surely this isn't what I'm living for. And you start to realize that no matter who you pretend to be and how you live and whose ideas and ideals you're conforming to, there's always somebody else who's disappointed in that. You're never going to be able to please everybody. So I think you do just get to a point where you just go, right, actually, what's the point in that? This is me. You're going to get judged no matter what you do. Why not do what you want to do, and then at least you're happy? Susan, you know Sue, Kiki Sue from the retreat.
I can see that my
has put. Can you see comments?
Yeah. Well, I could on my phone, but it seems like my internet. Yeah, I'll have a look again. I'm getting told that my internet connection is unstable.
Right. Well, she says you're looking great and you're living the dream. Virag says we often learn to hold ourselves back, especially if you're sensitive or an empath, unless you're in a rebel. Definitely. It is the point of the shite. Absolutely, it is. It's just, and for some people, it takes a hell of a lot to get to that tipping point. For a lot of people, I say this a lot when people have lost somebody who they love. Death tends to do this to people, doesn't it? So people say, right, that's it, life's too short, this person died, they never did what they were meant to do. The saddest thing is a couple of years ago, so Graham, my husband's in a band, and they went to play somebody's retirement do, and the guy actually died at his retirement do. And I just thought how much of it was awful, absolutely awful. They were gutted. It really, what a shake up for everybody that was there. If you've worked your entire life, waiting to retire and then start living and then start being who you're meant to be and doing the things that you enjoy. So that's a bit of a kick, but you can imagine the amount of people that would have known him saying, well, do you know, what's the point? And people will live that way for a couple of days, but then very quickly fall back into the same way of just, right, well, I'll just do this because everybody else is doing it. It's an easy life. And you start living by those thoughts and those emotions and those programs that you've always done, because it feels to some people as if that's safe, and they'll say this feels right. And it's not that it's right, it just feels comfortable. You know what that is. It's the known, it's the familiar to you. But like Virag says, what's interesting is that if you just go, right, I don't know what's going to happen by being me, because I've never done that before. Thanks, son. I've never done that before. So if I'm going to do this, I need to just stick with it and surrender to just whatever happens, but at least I feel all right in here. And for a lot of people, it takes a cancer, an illness, a death, to lose your job. There's always some sort of big event. But what happens then is you're then thrown into stress. So it's much harder to do. Whereas if my goal is to help people realize way before it's got to that point, actually, that's not who you are. That's not what you came here to do. And I want to see more of who you really are. There's enough kind of clones, robots about, everybody doing what they think they should be doing and not living their life. And that is so sad to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, I have such can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. I have such faith in the human potential. I think we're capable of amazing things if we just learn how to actually have confidence in ourselves and believe that we can, and that we are good enough, and that we are worthy. I mean, we have a society that's basically built on telling us that we're not good enough, or we have to strive for better, or we have to do better, or we have to look better, or we have to buy this or buy that, or to be happy.
Can you imagine a world where people felt happy with who they were, they felt enough, they knew that just them shining their own unique light was all that was needed? Can you imagine a world like that, where you could be any shape, you could be any colour, you could be any size, you could have any job you wanted, you could express yourself creatively in whichever way was right for you? What would the world be like? Who would miss out, Lisa?
Well, I think that it sounds lovely, and I'm call it naive enough, or innocent enough, or whatever, to believe that that's possible, that is where we're going. But we need to, for that to be possible, all these societal structures that are set in place to keep us in our boxes, they have to fall. They just have to fall for us to be able to build something new, something which is aligned with who we are at the core, of being human. I mean, we're not just flesh and blood. We're so much more than that. And I mean, the way you teach, with all the potential that we have in our minds, and the potential that we don't use because we were never taught that we have that we actually possess that potential and that ability. We were taught that we are very, very small and insignificant, and I just don't believe that's true. I really don't believe that's true. But we need to start from the children are small, but basically from they're born, for them to give them the ability to just live the way they were supposed to live. And instead of trying to conform them into something that doesn't suit them, and through doing that, you dim their light and they lose their creativity. Watch Sir Ken Robinson, if you haven't, on TED Talk. He's probably that's probably the most famous TED Talk ever. It's called "The Schools Kill Creativity." You search that; it is amazing, and he's a professor. So but just what he says about, there's not necessarily nothing wrong with schools, but the system to try and conform all children into the same box. It might suit 5% of the children, but what about all the other 95% that it doesn't suit? They become disruptive, they become looked at as troublesome or lazy or whatever, when their creative genius might be in a completely different field, and they will never be able to to pursue that, or to even find that talent, because there is no alley for them to go to find that talent. That's what's so sad, that the system we have today it's built for a very, very few amount of people, and all the other people kind of falls between the chairs and has no support. And we need a different system.
We so do. Susan says, I've done exact exactly just that. Doesn't matter how old you are, live your life to please you and nobody else. That's it. And people say, I've had this with a lot of people that I've either worked with or I've had conversations with over the past sort of 6 or 7 years, I would say. And people said, well, I'm too old to change now. There's no point now. I've been this way for 75 years. There's no point in changing now. And I'm like, no, because you could have another 25 years of just having the best time. You could make up for it all now. But people get put into that way of thinking that, you know, I'm too old, or I'm too old and stuck in my ways to change now. Well, that's what you're telling yourself, so that's right. Virag says, oh, that's so heartbreaking. This is the lie about our current system. It's set up for putting off joy. Of course it is, because if you feel like you haven't got that, if you haven't got health, you haven't got joy, it's always something that you have to strive for. And then it's something to sell to us. If you have a McDonald's, you'll feel this sense of joy. Do you know what I mean? If you look this way and you take our diet products, you will feel so much better. Look at how much life this person's got. It's that sort of thing, isn't it? We will build up this system together. We absolutely will, Anna. What I was going to say was, that TED Talk's great, Lisa. What I was going to say was a couple of things as you were talking. So one was when I was saying about we get to that point, don't we, where something changes. I think as a collective, as humanity, this is what's happening right now, is that things keep happening and things keep happening because we have to get to that point where there's a tipping point and people go, hang on a minute, something's not quite right here. And this is where the change will come. So I think you're absolutely right when you're saying you've got that innocence and that naivety enough to imagine that that's actually what we could be like. And when people realize who's funding who's benefiting from keeping us small, from keeping us in boxes, from causing division, from making us think that we're not enough, and to create this feeling of lack no matter how much you have. And, you know, if you've got a roof over your house, over your head, you've got food in your stomach, you've got friends, there's always something else that we're being told there's more that you need to have. And I think when society gets to its tipping point, then everyone's going to go, do you know what, that none of that stuff matters. And when you were saying about when you come into this life and you've got that innocence and that potential that's there, if you think about when you have your newborn baby and you just look and it's just perfect as it is, you know, no matter what, your babies are perfect as they are. And when you hold in mind your intention for them, it's always with the highest possible expectation. Like, you can be whatever you want to be. Like, you beautiful, perfect child, like, look at all of these things that are available to you. But we forget that actually that's what happened to us. So we came here as this, you know, this spark of all that is, this potential that's there to be unleashed, this light that's needed in this world at this time. And what could we have been before all of these experiences and things happened to us that made us think that we had to kind of fit in or act a certain way? All of that, all of those experiences and all of the school system and everything like that kind of knock all of that out of us, don't they?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does.
Rag said, sorry, were you going to say something there?
No. Well, I'm kind of just feeling into if something wants to come through. But yeah. No.
Parag says, not sure who said it, but we really need to build the alternative rather than helping these structures collapse. That's it. Never too old until you have no breath in your body. That's right. Jay says, yes, Lisa. I don't know what that was too, but Jay's agreeing with you with something there. So, yeah.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah. I think what Parag's saying is so important, where it's not, we can do something now. We don't have to wait for things to happen. If you realize that now, that there's an alternative way of being, then really all we need to do is to start behaving in that way and to start acting that way and to start putting things in place regardless of what's going on around us, you know. Absolutely. So I mean, we've started doing it already, things like swapping skills in the community. The skills that I've got, what can I swap them for? You know, setting up groups and just like, right, well, I'm a plasterer. You know, I'm quite happy to swap my time for your time in mentoring sessions or something like that, or whatever it might be. To get out of that way of being, instead of falling into the trap of what's going on. It's our job to remind ourselves, I think, every single day that we do have choice. And it's no good just saying, yeah, things need to change and looking for somebody to do something, because we are the somebody. We are the people that we're waiting for.
Of course we are.
It's up to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that I always come back to, is that, like you just said, we are the ones we've been waiting for. We every person on this planet has free will and free choice, and we were born with that, whether we believe it or not. And somebody said just the other day, if you're if there's something in your life that you're not happy with, but you're not changing it, well, then you're choosing it. You're actually choosing it.
Absolutely.
So, and that is a choice, and that's choice. That's your right to have that choice. But it's no good sitting, even though, and that every choice can be difficult. It can be difficult to make a choice, but if you want things to change in your life, then you're going to have to start making new choices, even if they're only small, every day. Because if you choose the same thing every day, your life won't ever change. You know, it won't. You have to make a different choice to get somewhere different. And we have that option, even if it's just a tiny thing we change every day. We're still moving somewhere else, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of the work that I do about it being really habitual. We're habitual creatures as human beings, and it's just a habit that we're in, and that is the key to a lot of change. I know in like the Meditate Your Way program, or any kind of practice really that people do, if you just make a small change and do that tiny little thing consistently, that then becomes the new habit, and the old one falls away. You're forging a new pathway. You're creating a new way to think and a new way to be. And it's that cycle of like how you think and has an impact on how you feel, and that informs what choices you make. That the choices that you make inform the experiences that you have, and it's the experiences that are creating that knowledge and that wisdom. So the more that you choose to do something, the more you're going to see, actually, because I didn't get up and do the same old thing every day for an easy life. Well, it's not really easy because you weren't happy in the first place. But if you were to just choose one thing, so even if you were to just say, right, from now on, I'm setting my alarm 10 minutes earlier, and I'm going to do a little meditation, and I'm going to set my intention for the day, pretty soon that becomes your normal thing to do, rather than waking up and going straight on to your social media or onto the news channels or whatever it is to see what's happening externally. It's up to us to realize that actually the more we start being authentic with ourselves, it's as well, I think there's part of it is realizing the bullshit that you tell yourself, realizing that actually that is not true. I'm saying I can't do this, I can, I'm just choosing not to. So yeah, that's right. It's whatever you're not changing, you're choosing, because it's it's just the way
and that goes for me as well, by the way, because I choose to not do things sometimes, but I can't blame someone else for my life not changing. Yeah,
all the time. So
and we all do that.
Yeah, I was talking to lovely Emma, who I've been doing Ayurveda stuff with, and we did a session with her, and I was like, I know exactly what is going to come out. And she's like, so what's happening here? And I was just like, right, even before I say it, I recognize that what I'm saying is absolute rubbish, but this is the excuse. I'm going to speak it out loud so you can hear it anyway. And she's like, so why aren't you doing that again? And I'm like, right, yeah, I totally know. And it's that is where the change happens, because, and this is why it's so good to have these conversations and have a tribe, because we can all remind ourselves of the way that we want to be. And if we've had that ability to laugh at ourselves and to put our hands up and say, oh, I've cocked up here, but I'm human and I make mistakes, and this is how we learn from each other. And to say, right, well, I'll give this a go. I thought it would be safer going back to what I knew, and it didn't quite work out. And it's known that you've got people around you that will say, actually, yeah, you're human, you give it a go. You've now got even more understanding. We're here for you, we're supporting you, we're holding this space. Let's see how we can move into something that feels a lot better. And doing it as a community, and just saying, right, actually, I've cocked up here, I'm not feeling good today, I'm making excuses. Yes, it's not about being 100% all of the time, because we're human. It's about, Dr. Joe says, it's like 1 foot in the quantum, 1 foot in the real world, you know. It's finding the bridge between the two, and still living a life. It's no good keep looking back and going, oh, so that's why that happened, and this is why I am the way that I am, and looking back at all of these things and recognizing the programs isn't enough, but also looking at where you could be, and consciously and constantly focusing on that, or meditating for so long, or being all taking yourself so high that you're pretending that things aren't happening now isn't good either. Some point you've got to just be present and now and live.
Well, I think
now.
I think that's the key to everything, really. And I think just to come back to present, to come back to now and here and now, because I mean, I know it's a cliche, but it is actually the only moment we have to make changes, to do things. You know, you can't do anything with the past; it's already gone. No. So in future, you have no idea what the future will bring, because it's all based on the choices you make in the now. So the more we can kind of remind us that we're so used to living in worries for the future, or regrets of the past, or whatever, or memories or whatever, which is great. You learn from that too. But I think the more we can come back to the actual now, is where our power lies, because that's the only time there really is to change, or to move forward, or to choose the way you want to be. It's the only time there really is. And I mean, sages have said that for millennia, obviously, that, you know, come back to the now, being present and all that. But it's true. It's true. It's the only time there really is, when you think about it. It's just that we are so conditioned to think about the past and the future, and plan things and organize things and all that we forget that we always have to come back to where we are at this. And then there's the next moment, and then there's the next moment. So there will always be another now, always be a now, to make a new choice. You make a choice, and you find out whether that worked the way you wanted or not. And if it didn't, then you make a new choice. You know, it's just.
And that's so empowering, isn't it? Because then you've got when you empower yourself in that way and you start thinking that way and you think, right, so whatever I'm worrying about hasn't happened yet, so why am I giving me energy to that? And all the stuff that's happened in the past, because I don't know about you, but I certainly, whenever I realized something, my natural tendency would be to kind of beat myself up a little bit about why I didn't do something about this sooner. Just like, oh my God, you've let that one sentence that somebody said inform how you have lived your life for 15 years or whatever it is, you know? Yeah. And to go, oh God, that's so ridiculous. Why have you, like, you know what? Why have you given your power away to them? And when you start to live in that way of thinking of just like, right now, right here, what is my choice for right now? And as well, what I've been doing with the Ayurvedic stuff as well is just like recognizing what it is that you need and where you want to be going, and letting that inform your choice rather than thinking about what other people say I should be doing, or kind of what it's that should, isn't it? We should ourselves to death. I should be doing this, I should be doing that. You're sitting and you're having a moment in the now and you're just like, right, I've been really busy, my head's been all over the place. What I need right now in this moment is just to sit down and have a bit of relax and have, I don't know, 5 minutes to myself. And then you sit there and you think, oh, this is lovely. And then something just pops up in your mind and it's like, oh, you should be doing this. There's things that you can be doing. Are you allowed to sit and just be?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shoot ourselves to death. That's a really good expression, actually. That is really good. Yeah. Yeah. I've been known to doing that a lot in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We're just like, this is what everybody else is saying. Virag saying, thank you, Lisa. You were speaking to me. And also, you ladies are on fire today. It's as if you are in my head. Yeah, because we're all connected. This is the thing. I think this is why we felt that it would be just a good little experiment. This is what you've got to do in life, isn't it? Just try and see what works. And if we're thinking this way, and if I'm having this conversation that I'm having with Lisa, if I'm having similar conversations with many other people, then why don't we all just start talking to each other and create a new network and a new way of being, and support each other that way? Because sometimes you just need to have that feeling of like, yes, me too, there's somebody else who's there. I'm not alone. Because when you start to make changes, or when things are really heavy like they are in the world at the minute, it can feel as if it's you against the whole world. And reminding yourself that actually, no, there is good out there. Having a look, if you must look at some news things, have a look at like the good news sites, the news sites that only show good, uplifting stuff, and reminding yourself that there are more good people out there than what we think. But I think what we hope to do is to empower those people to actually start speaking up and start living in their truth, and just saying, hang on a minute, this doesn't feel right to me. This is me. This is what I feel. And I am not responsible for you buying into whatever it is that's keeping you unhappy or miserable or unhealthy or whatever it might be. I'm here. I'm a safe person to talk to, because I'm just going to be me. And if I muck things up, then that's all right. I'll just admit, and I'll just say I've mucked this up. But it doesn't. It's about unconditional love and unconditional trust, and just showing up as who you're supposed to be, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's all we can do, really. I mean, the thing is, you're the best, whoever you are, whether it's you, Kaz, or whoever you are out there. You're the only person who can be you, who can be really you, and whatever you brought to this earth to share. you're no good being a second best someone else. You really are not. You'll never be you'll never reach your highest potential by trying to be someone else. You just won't, because that's their path to walk. It's not your path. So, and that took me decades to realize that I won't succeed in life the way I want to succeed in life by trying to walk in someone else's footsteps. I just won't. It's because it's not really me. It's not. And that's why for many, many years I actually felt like a fraud. Even though I was successful, I was doing good and doing my very best, but I wasn't being true to me, and therefore I felt like a fraud in the world. And I was wondering when people were going to see that I was a fraud, and that's a sad way to live.
Yeah, I think so many people have that, don't they? Imposter syndrome, and it's just like, well, who am I to be doing this? And I'm saying this. Or especially people who do this kind of work when you're working with other people. And the thing is, in order to recognize that there's a different way of being, you've usually lived through a lot of stuff. You've usually had a lot of experiences. And you've usually made a lot of mistakes, and I've definitely made a lot of mistakes. And I will continue to do so, because that is how you learn. There isn't a way to get through life without trial and error, without trying something and seeing if it works and if it doesn't. I just find it really interesting that. Sorry, I'm just listening because I don't know if he's taking the dog out or whether he's leaving the dog there. And it made us lose my train of thought. I'm sure it'll come back to us. Julia says, so grateful for your chat today, Kaz and Lisa. I woke up with anxiety for some reason, but listening to your chat has totally released it. Yeah, so if you're sensitive.
Oh, how lovely.
I know she's lush, isn't she? I finished a book yesterday. It's down here somewhere.
Which one is that?
So our Julia has written a book, and it's kind of about a life less ordinary, available on Amazon.
Oh, how lovely.
And it was lovely. It was a really good good read, because it's just like what we're doing now, where you find out a bit more about each other and you have a conversation, and there's stuff that comes out and you just think, you might know somebody for years and years, but then actually not know little bits about them, and those little bits just give you a little bit of another little that's what it's like to be you. This is what it's like to be me. And you have a little bit of a chat. There's always something. It might not be the same experience, but emotions you can connect with, isn't it? And that vibration and the energy around a certain situation, you think, that's good. And you realize it's that thing of just like, is anybody else? And I think that's what a lot of people are anxious about at the minute, is you can feel the weight. I think this is what I was going to say before. You can feel the weight of everything that's going on out there at the minute. Even if we don't know what's actually going on, we can feel the weight of it all. It's tangible in the air. And sometimes you do wake up and you're just like, something's not quite right. And all it is you just, some part of you is buying into whatever is going on for everybody else. Whereas if you just do that thing of just like, hang on a minute, what's going on? No, actually, I'm all right. The world's a great place. It's okay. It's safe to be here. It's safe to be me. Where am I? I'm here in my body. All is well. Everything's okay. If I need to talk to somebody, here is somebody who I can talk to. There's somebody safe who loves me unconditionally and is going to be there for me no matter what. And I think that's been a great thing about the last year or so, is that you really find out who is there for you. Not necessarily who, it doesn't have to be people who have the same beliefs around what's going on for you at the minute, but you know who's, I think there's a real ramping up in the feeling of love. For me personally, anyway, I think it's become very apparent where people I would never have known about before have
hungry, buddy?
appeared in my life, and it's been great. Yeah.
There was something you said before the kind of, or when you showed the book that Julia has written. Mm-hmm. I have to say thank you to Julia. I have obviously not read that book, but you kind of inspired me now, because I've been pregnant with a book for, I don't know, it must be the longest pregnancy on earth. Years and years and years and years. I don't know if any animals are pregnant that long. Yeah, I mean, like we just said, make choices. If you do make the same choices every day, nothing changes. So maybe you just inspired me to push forward on that book a little bit. Thank you very much, Julia.
Yeah, there are no accidents. You hear what you need to hear, and it's important. The more that people talk in this way, you can pick up on certain little things, and you go, oh, actually, it's that Me Too thing again, isn't it? It's like, yeah, this is true for me. And I know from going to the Dr. Joe workshops and things like that, and the way that he will describe it is, he says it's kind of like breaking the 4-minute mile. It's when somebody's done it once, then very quickly they've kind of left the footprints for other people to follow, and just like, hang on a minute, if they can do it, then so can I. And it's changing that way of thinking from how we've been conditioned to just like put a negative spin on things, and for our power to be, or the power to be outside of us, instead of us having that within. And if you were to look at somebody who particularly doesn't, there's nothing different. I mean, everybody's different, but there's nothing that would make them so special that it couldn't happen for you. So when I was saying before, the miracles that you see, and the work that Dr. Joe does as well, with it all being around neuroscience and quantum physics and all the new sciences, and the research is very valid and up to date. And you can witness with your own eyes instantaneous changes in people. And I personally, I said before, I'm shoving bits of bread in my mouth. I had gluten intolerance for years, and I kind of healed it like that, and
wow,
there's so much joy and so many miracles and so much potential to be had out there if people tune into that way, isn't it? It is like that analogy of the radio frequencies, where we're all we're all like a radio receiver, and there's frequencies being transmitted, and we can't see them, but we're tuned into a certain channel, and all we need to do is to go, actually, I'm tired of listening to classic FM. I want to switch up to whatever it is. And it's just fine-tuning the way that you're being and the thoughts that you're thinking, and catching yourself, and you think, oh, hang on a minute, I wasn't going to do that anymore. I'm going to choose a different way.
Exactly.
And tuning into something completely different is going to change your experience of everything, and your life's going to change for the better. Julia's just saying you can do it, Lisa.
Hey.
And she says, thanks. I totally agree, Kaz. I'm feeling so much love at the minute. I do think that's the thing, is there's so many people fighting for humanity. My personal belief is humans, this is why things are happening as they are now, and at the speed that they're happening at now, is that it's not a new thing. I don't think that the that human potential has been realized, and how awesome excuse me, we are. I think the reason why we have the school system we have, and the reason why our potential isn't supported and our creativity isn't supported, is because it doesn't serve big companies. I think there's a lot of greed out there. Sorry, I'm just choking on nothing.
Bless you. Bless you.
Talk for a minute while I have a big drink, please, Lisa.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's it's quite apparent that whoever set up the systems of this world are the people who benefit from them in one way or the other, whether it's like in the school system. Well, we know that the school system, the way it is today, was set up in basically the same kind of format as it still is about 200 years ago, when the Industrial Revolution began, particularly here in England. And I mean, the people who ran the Industrial Revolution, who started that, well, that was the people with money. The people with money, and they needed workers for their factories, and they needed workers to follow the rules and do what they were told and be on time, and all the stuff that we are taught in school, and then to not question things, to just basically follow the tracks of where you're supposed to go from early age all the way to pension age, and then you're basically obsolete in society. Well, I don't believe that's true. I don't believe I mean, if you have a job that you love, that's great, no matter what it is, whether you pick litter or you work in an office or you sit behind a till in a supermarket or you have your own business. It doesn't really matter. If you love your job and you do it well, and or if you're content, it doesn't matter what you do. You can still shine your light, even if it's not your profession, even if it's not your job that you are paid for. We're all lights on the earth, and we shine our light no matter what we do. But we have to believe, we have to believe in our own inner flame.
Yeah, and I think that is what it's that love that that people are feeling, because these conversations, although they're not kind of being, well, they're being censored, aren't they? This is why we want to do this. They're being censored online, so they kind of it's been a long plan, I suppose, is the word, and to get everybody onto this way of being, so kind of divided everybody, put them online, but then censor what they can say online. So these conversations aren't being had, because it doesn't serve them and their purpose for people to be happy and to feel like they have enough and to feel that sense of joy and just a love of beingness, just being me, and that interconnectedness and all of that sort of thing. It doesn't serve them at all. So yeah, no matter what's kind of going on at the minute, that connection and that sense of there is other people out there fighting for us, because sometimes it can feel pretty hopeless, but if we know that there's other people that feel the same way, if something really terrible happened, I don't know, some natural disaster, not talk about anything else, but even if it was just like a big natural disaster, I would hope that humanity would still, you see this all the time, don't you? Something tragic happens and all that matters is that people pull together and people just want to see each other safe, and suddenly we go back to what we or which are loving, compassionate beings who have this innate sense for community and strive to help each other. We're not born into, we don't belong to anybody. So the system that you were talking about, where that you know, the creating workers, we don't belong to anybody. I mean, even having my own kids, it's not like they're not mine. Like, I'm blessed to be their parent, but they are their own person. They don't belong to anybody but them. And that's why I've always felt so really strongly about when people take, no matter what form, whether it's abuse, whether it's rape, whether it's you know, the treatment from the system, anybody taking somebody else's power away, making them feel small, has always got me really bloody angry more than anything else, because no, that's not what we're here for. Anna says, I need to go now. This has been so enlightening and has helped me so much to do something that I needed to for so long. That needed, I don't know, she's, you know, there's a typo and I can't quite work out what that is. So much, helped me so much to do something that must be doing for so long. We'll tell you why when we next meet. And G says, the 1% Club are frightened of anyone who is free because they don't have control. Yeah, and that is what all the censoring and everything's about. And I mean, if you don't know by now, then this is something that you really need to look into, is that you know, the people at the top who are making, just look at the last year, how many businesses have been lost, how many people's livelihoods, how many lives have been lost. And I don't mean to, you know, the perceived stuff that's been reported, to other things that you know, are causing a huge loss of life, and who has profited. If you think of you know, Amazon, the big supermarkets, all of those big places, and where their kind of money goes through, especially the pharmaceutical industries and things like that, technology companies. And it just so happens that this is the way that we're going. Bill Gates has bought up all this farmland and all of this stuff that's going on, and it is just a very small minority. We are the majority. We just need to take that back and to start speaking up about it, I think, and to say, hang on, no, not me. I don't consent to this. I came here as a free, sovereign being, and my intention was to love and to serve and to shine my light and to work in harmony with other people. It's not to do whatever your gender is. That's not what humanity is. So it does really warm my heart that there are so many people out there who are so committed to preserving humanity and to helping it thrive and to grow, and to try and look after this planet that we're on as well, because that's a lot of the work that you do as well, isn't it, is around earth healing. And
yeah, that's my I mean, it took it took a while for me to realize that where my real mission lies isn't necessarily in feng shui as such, even though it interests me and it's exciting and all that. But when I started to dive into earth healing, which is basically very easily, very, very simply put, it's basically Reiki healing for the land. It's basically healing for land instead of the body, because we're all connected. We're connected to the land we live on. Trauma that is you know, trapped in the body and creates disease. It does the same for the land. It does the same for locations where trauma has happened. It will you will feel, if you are a sensitive being and an empath, then you will definitely feel change in energy on locations where things have happened in the past. And my or present time, obviously, but so my mission is to, through the technologies, inner technologies that I've learned, and my intuition and my abilities, I work with healing the land, as many locations as I can, while I'm here, and I do it alone or I do it in groups. So I have this little community online that I do little ceremonies with, and they sound, well, little ceremonies, they're very, very powerful, because we're not the ones doing the work. We're just, because we are beings with free will on earth, then higher divine light beings can work through us to actually implement enormous changes, which is for the highest good of both humanity and the earth. So that is, and that kind of, I found that out during this last year, that that's where I'm supposed to spend most of my energy, because that's where I can be to the, the biggest, can, be of biggest service to everybody, really. So yeah, that's my passion and my mission.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I truly believe that this is where we're at the minute. Is this is, we talk about it being the 6th mass extinction and it all being our own doing, and I think there's a lot of support coming from humans, but I think as well from whatever else is out there. It's this, I think, the way that we're going, and I have to believe this just because I feel it. It feels right to me. It feels true to me. Is that where we're going is so much better, and just at the minute we're in this transition period, and the more that we can kind of stick together and hold that intention in mind, and to start living as if everything is already free and beautiful, and we've got this great community of people and we can help each other out, and we're all supporting ourselves and each other to thrive, rather than living in this state of fear and constantly just trying to survive and to get by. That's not right. The more that we stay in that energy, the better it's going to be, and the more the brighter our light's going to shine, ready for people that are going to get to that point that we talked about before, where it all seems just like, what on earth's happening here? And you become aware of the lies, and the corruption and all of the stuff that, it's like that veil being lifted, and then you're going, whoa, it's like the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? Where you're just like, hang on, that's just it's just a pathetic little old man behind a curtain who's doing all this. I'm not listening to you. There's this other way of being, and I see that now, because I see my friends, I see these people living in that way, and I see that regardless of what the news is telling me or social media is telling me, regardless of all that, I feel that love from the connection of the people that are around me. So I think that's great. I'm going to read out this. Jay says, bloody love you girls. I bloody love you too, Jane. I miss you like mad. Virag says, had this convo with my son this morning. He is my son, but really my partner on this journey called life, my traveling buddy. I need to speak to you both about a specific project. 3 lovely hearts. We'll reach out later.
Interesting.
Lovely. Look forward to that.
Wonderful.
You are keeping the best part to the end for the hardcore folk. Who is responsible for the previous 5 mass extinctions, then asking for a friend? It's a rhetorical question for you two, obviously. Yeah, but this is what it's about. It's it's a knife edge, isn't it? It could go 2 ways, and I think this time last year I was like, oh, which way is it going to go, and which side is going to win? It's like a battle between good and evil, isn't it? It's that sort of thing. And now I have no doubt that the light's already won, and this is just the stuff that's playing out. This is kind of like it's all playing out as it's supposed to, I think.
We're releasing all trauma. That's what we're doing. That's what's playing out. We're releasing all collective trauma.
Yeah.
And it has to be seen to be released. So it has to come up to the light to be released, so that we can lighten the frequency of the whole collective human plane.
Of course, because as we said before,
that's what I believe,
with your
anyway.
personal journey, on a one person level, how are you going to make those changes if you don't know that those changes need to be made? And this is what's happening now, is all of these things are being brought to our attention. So it's like when I was saying about recognizing the bullshit and then going, hang on a minute, that's not right. That's what's happening on a global level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that everyone needs to just go, right, okay. Jane says, hi, Kaz, spoke with a medium on Sunday and he says we'll get through this and it'll be a much better world.
Yay!
Varag says, agreed, Earth Angels. And Julia says, love is winning. There is no other way. Absolutely right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we're all here.
That's it. Well, I've really enjoyed this first.
Yeah, me too. Despite of our little tech problems in the beginning.
Well, and I didn't start recording for a bit until like after the laptop froze, and then I went back on. So there's a bit that's missed out, but we'll see what we can do about getting it onto YouTube. But because I'm sure there'll be some stuff in there that some people might catch along the way, and they'll find out about both of us as we chat anyway, because we're both kind of committed to just being honest with ourselves and with everybody else, and just like leaving ourselves open mind. Here we are, ask us anything. What can we do? What do you want to talk about? But any suggestions that people have for topics that we could talk about, or things that you want to hear us speak about, or if you want to find out more about certain things, then we'll come on and do that.
I guess what we could say is that our plan was to start with talking about the importance of speaking our truth, not just our truth but everybody's truth, even if your voice shakes, like the saying goes, and the courage and the bravery that goes with being honest and truthful, and we, like we said, we all have a part to play in what's going on in the world right now. And you didn't incarnate into the earth plane, especially this lifetime, to play small. You just didn't. Nobody did. And everybody's needed. So I don't know. I don't know if that will be our next conversation, or if that will just continue on from where we are now.
Yeah, I do.
Unless you guys have any other suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Speaking Your Truth will be the one that we'll do next week. But what it made me think of when you were talking there is, like, those of you who know me know that I am totally tone deaf. I can't sing, but I love to sing. And a couple of years ago, we went to Spain for my friend's 50th, and we went to a bar, and I was talking to a girl, and we were just chatting about stuff that she'd done. She's like, terrified of karaoke, and I went, I am too. Shall we do it? And she's like, I couldn't possibly do it. And I was like, well, let's just do it. So I just went and put my name up, and then we got up and we sang, and at the end she was just like, my God, thank you so much. You've got no idea. Like, if I can do that, I can do anything. And that was what came up. It's just like sharing your voice.
Brilliant.
But the little thing that is important, I think, when I was thinking of that is, you spend so much time thinking, I don't want people to hear what I say in case it offends, in case it's not what they wanted to hear. But actually, when you do speak up and speak your truth, everybody else... Hi, Derek. You need one of those nose hair trimmers.
Sorry. You know, she said,
What?
you need one of those nose hair trimmers.
I've got one for my balls.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say that. Oh, God. You know,
yeah,
he said...
But nobody, you know, if you just be who you are, then people are just like, oh, right, that's what they sound, that's them. And then they get back on with being them. And that paves the way, because me getting up and singing terrible helped somebody on another table get up and go, do you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. And that's what we need. We need to start a love revolution and just go, right, this is me. This is who I am. This is my truth. What's yours? Let's have a conversation instead of shouting at each other and, you know, all the rest of it. So, yeah, I think Speak Your Truth is a great one to start with. Thank you for chatting with me, and give Derek and Benji a hug and take one for yourself.
Yeah, thank you. And you and all, you know, so much love to your family. And Freddie, can you see his face now?
Oh, I'll go back on. I'll do a little live with him when I go downstairs and show him. He looks amazing. He doesn't look as tiny as I thought he was going to.
Oh.
He looks really tall and lanky, but you can see him, and he's gorgeous. You can see his little face, and it looks like his tash has been all, you know, like a handlebar kind of tash. He looks hilarious.
Oh, he's so lush.
Yeah. So I'm going to go and see him now.
Shall we just... Yeah. Love you and leave you. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
We'll come... You know, we'll put the time and date up when we know a little bit more. And
yeah,
this was fun. Yay! More of this. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Love you all. Bye. Right. Let's have a look. I'm just going to hang about to see if we've actually gone. Right, there, we're off.